welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing the second part of the B90 tell-all. But before we do, we're going to be hopping into some hot goss. So this is Plathville related. Of course, I don't cover the show, but I do watch along with everybody else. So Ethan Plath is starting off, well, we're at the end of January now, but he's starting off his new year with a new woman. So Ethan Plath took to Instagram to formally introduce to his followers his new girlfriend nearly a year after filing for divorce from Olivia Plath. So he said, quote, and just trigger warning for nasty, proud to introduce my sweet girlfriend. Sweet, he said. He said, truly, she is one of the sweetest, kindest, and patient people I've ever known. Looking forward to the next year and what it has to bring. Wishing everyone a happy new year. Here we go, 2025. So I do have a picture of her. I will post her. So even though we know what she looks like, he didn't share her name or any additional details, but clearly the pair have been spending lots of time together. In the pics, Ethan and his blonde-haired, blue-eyed lady cozy up for romantic and silly moments. The reality star snapped a funny, candid montage of his girlfriend searching the car before realizing she was being photographed and breaking into a smile. The couple clearly love their selfies, snapping lots of photos together, cheek to cheek. They also posed alongside a vintage yellow convertible in one shot. So, great. But that's it for that piece. Next, Mary Brown has taken out a third loan on her Parowan bed and breakfast, Lizzie Heritage Inn. In Touch has confirmed this via the deed of trust. The U.S. Sun was first to report on Mary's latest loan, which was dated December 23rd, 2024. Quote, the note evidences the legal obligation of each borrower who signed the note to pay lender $485,000 plus interest. The document read, however, the reality star has plenty of time to pay that loan back in full. Quote, each borrower who signed the note has promised to pay this debt in regular monthly payments and to pay the debt in full no later than January 1st, 2055. So she has like 30 years to do it. Mary took out her latest loan through mortgage lender company Newres LLC, according to the documents. She's listed as the sole borrower. Mary, as we know, purchased the home and took out the original mortgage for $346,500 in October 2017. She took out a second home rider for $308,000 in April 2018. At the same time, Mary was still living in Flagstaff, as we know, and was still in plural marriage with everybody. So on the season 12 premiere back in 2019, Mary asked the group for $40,000 for the loan to purchase the bed and breakfast, as we know, which didn't happen. She bought it on her own. And she said, quote, I knew that the funds were not there. I just felt like, well, I'm just going to have to do it then. So that's why I got up and I left and I started working, because I knew that I needed to figure it out because it was something important to me. And this is what she told US Weekly at that time. She began working as a LuLaRoe retailer in 2016. Yike. Mary told fans in an August 28, 2024 Instagram post on Lizzie's Heritage Inn's Instagram page that it was time to say goodbye, if only for a moment. saying, quote, "This beautiful 154-year-old home is in need of some TLC and needs some renovation, so I've made the decision to shut down the B&B for regular visits. At this time, I don't know how long it will be closed. I suppose that all depends on what ends up happening as we go through this process." Mary said she would still have special events where you can come see the home. So she said, so be sure to pay attention if you're interested in that on the website. Although the site says the inn is no longer taking reservations. But for now, enjoy these photos of what was and look forward with me to what will be. I've got some fun and exciting things planned for these spaces. The next little while will be filled with fun and anticipation, and I'm excited for what's to come, Mary added about the renovations. So, great. Wish her the best with that. And the last piece of hot goss, this is Below Deck related. So, months after filming Wrapped in Ibiza, both Danny and Deanna appeared on the January 6th episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. There, they were asked if they would work with Daisy again in the future. Deanna said no immediately, which you can check out in that clip if you so choose. Danny, meanwhile, had a bit of a different answer, which she does say in the finale of the show, which you'll get that soon. Quote, she says, if I had to, a job is a job. Yeah, for me, a job's a job. I really don't care. Like, I know how to deal with it, so it's all good. Do you, though? Host Andy Cohen then asked Deanna to explain why she wouldn't want to work with Daisy again in the future. She says, quote, she's all over the place. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. She's unfocused. She's always on her phone, basically. And for me, my piece is just way more important than that. Okay, whatever. I don't care about these people. But anyways, that is basically it for hot goss. Let's jump into the reason that we are here. B90, Season 7, Episode 21, Tell All Part 2. So we start off where we left off with, I will break your face, okay? So let's just go back to Matilda and Niles before we have any situations. So let's talk about the masking for Niles and kind of what that means. So he kind of, in lying, really, and he kind of explains again, as we kind of know, it's all about the social skills. With his social skills, he doesn't always know what to say, how to say it, and, we kind of been through that, so we don't have to rehash that. But Sean kind of says, okay, but I'm just trying to understand, though, where we go from I'm coming down there to get to know you versus let's get married kind of thing, And Brian, I think, comes out kind of with the truth here, because I kind of agree with him. God, Brian thinks that he just avoids conflicts, which, yes. But Niles also admits, which was actually really interesting. I don't think we knew this before. But he says, it's actually me who brought up marriage. But what he didn't realize, I think he's kind of talking about saying, oh, I'm going to marry you one day or whatever, stuff that we all talk about at some point. And what he didn't realize is maybe in her culture, you kind of talk about marriage as pretty much being done immediately kind of thing. That part he just didn't realize. But I think also just a simple conversation would have been better, but I don't know. Then we start talking about Mr. Ark and all of his opinions that he's had. And he is here remotely. And Niles is like, hi, Dad. And he's like, how are you doing? And they do or Sean kind of asks, like, how did his parents feel about Mr. Ark taking on the role of parent? And apparently his parents do know that this happened and that they also didn't like that Mr. Ark did that. Like, how could you do that to me? Well, how could you do it to your son that you can't accept his happiness? Like, it goes both ways, Mr. Ark does think that Niles did not keep his promise in terms of Matilda being out in the States in 5 months. The problem is that Niles had no business saying when she would be there because it's not up to him, unfortunately. All he can do is do the paperwork and then he goes from there. It could take 5 months, which is rare. It could take a year, it could take 2 years. Like, you can't. I don't know why he said that. I think you would have been better off saying I'm going to do it as fast as I possibly can, but US immigration runs at its own speed. I can't control it. Instead of making that promise, I want to say they should have a little more common sense, but I think, like, if you don't understand, you don't understand, that it could take a while, that things don't just happen. Um, I don't know. So Sean says, okay, but you do still need 4,000 US dollars in order to get it all done. And how long do you think that's going to take to get that done? And he says, well, I have my job, pays the bills, but like it's going to take time. He doesn't really have an answer. But Matilda says, I would really rather he come and visit, spend 10 months. And if that even means delaying the process, or it's going to delay the process in order for him to travel, like, I'm fine with that. So I think that that's something that they do need to talk about, because clearly they're not on the same page. Lauren is like, honestly, I think you should wait for her to come, and then you both can go down to Ghana together. And Adnan, he just or sorry, let me back up. Sean basically asked Adnan, which I don't know why she did, but I know why she did. Says, like, well, what do you think? And he says, really? I wish you both the best. But, like, you don't respect my marriage. So I cannot respect you. Just be nice, and I'll be nice. He's like, your father is here, be nice. Anyways, moving on from that, because Niles does not want to be dealing with this shit right now. But Adnan unfortunately does not take the hint. He's like, do you support my relationship? And Niles is not even answering him. Do you like my relationship? Niles doesn't answer him. Do you like my family? Niles doesn't answer him. He's getting fuming, and you can see if smoke could come out of his ears, it would have. Do you support us? And again, Niles is saying nothing. Matilda, on the other hand, is kind of saying, Niles, just calm down, calm down. And Adnan says, I'm talking to you. Answer to me. Fuck you. I don't have to answer you because you think I'm going to take the bait. Luckily, Niles kind of did take the bait. He's like, you like us? Are you, willing to, or sorry, do you like us, or do you wish bad on us? Here's my question. Why do you care? And again, this is just the thing that I talked about in the last episode. His age is showing, because you would care more about that kind of shit at that age. As time goes on, I don't care what you think. You're not living my life. You're not in my relationship. You're not in any of that. I don't care. But for whatever reason, he cares. And at this point, Niles is kind of like, get him out of my face. Get him out of my face. He doesn't want to deal with any of this. It's rude. Adnan is rude. And Matilda's kind of saying to him, calm down, like, don't let this idiot get to you, kind of thing. And he's like, I'm trying to calm down. Then Adnan just starts laughing. And he's like, I just need to take a step away. I need to get out of this. Because he doesn't want to punch Adnan in the face, especially while Mr. Ark is here. And Adnan is like, Adnan is always trouble. I want to be nice, but no one likes me. Why doesn't anyone like me? And Matilda really comes at him in such a mature way, and she's like, Adnan. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, I don't like the way you talk to my husband. And Brian says, listen, everyone here, I'm sure if we were to all ask each other whether or not we like your relationship, we're all going to say yes. We all support your relationship. Like, it doesn't matter what we think anyways. You should just kind of let it go at this point. Just move on. And Adnan's like, yeah, you're right. I should just let it go, right? Have fun, right? Hello, Uncle. Hello. And Lauren's like, it's Miss Dark. Hello, Miss Dark. Hello, Miss Dark. I like your outfit. I really like it. I'm Niles traditions and then whatever else he says. And Lauren just, I'm sorry, Miss Dark is like, okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Sit down. Sit down. You know this man would say sit down and shut up. Like you anyway. So then Sean says, Mr. Stark, you know, you just saw Niles walk out, you know, what do you gotta say about that? And Mr. Stark basically says, like, I don't like the behavior. Clearly he's talking about the behavior of Anon, but I was not expecting Niles to just walk away. He doesn't like it. Well, while we wait for Niles, they're gonna kind of talk about a viewer comment directed at Mr. Ark, basically saying, he kind of forced Niles into marrying Matilda, but he explains, as he's explained before, the knocking, it's nothing, okay? And I just explained that to him, and he went on accordingly. I don't understand why in this moment, though, Vanya has to say, well, it really did look like you were kind of, forcing him to get married, or kind of saying, like, get married or else or whatever. It's the culture. And I don't know why we're debating this at this point. He's married. He made the decision. It is what it is. And Lauren says, like, he could have said no. Exactly. I think we can't be like, kind of like baby him or something and be like, oh, this was too much. No, he knew what he was doing. He made his choice and he's being perfectly fine with his choice. And Joey says, like, I think he was worried about the money. And I do think that was part of the problem. He definitely mentioned that prior to going to Ghana. But again, Vanya says, like, he didn't talk about the money while still here in America. And that's not true. He definitely talked about the money, saying this is why he had to work as a Skip driver or Uber driver as well. So, no, he definitely talked about the money. But then Niles comes back. He just immediately apologizes for leaving. But Mr. Ark says, you better not do that again. You better apologize to everyone. Not just me, apologize to everybody. And he does again. And I really hated this because I'm like, Niles did the right thing for him to walk away. You can tell him all you want, you shouldn't do that. But his brain processes are what they are. And he's going to go accordingly as he sees fit. And to basically berate him in this moment for doing the right thing really bothered me. But anyways, he apologizes, it's fine. Adnan basically says, I accept your apology, like but you hurt my feelings. Because I'm a child, I'm a man baby. What the fuck? And Niles, like, very calmly says to him, but this is not the time. You had your time, this is not the time. But then what else is? And Lauren kind of says it too. What else is the right time? We're all here now. While we are talking about Niles and Matilda, on stage is not the time. What we have to remember here is Adnan knew what he was doing. He waited until the right moment, and the right moment was when Mr. R came on and went into his bullshit. He did that on purpose. So, anyway, Matilda is getting really emotional. She's kind of crying, and she explains that the reason she's crying is because of the way Adnan is talking to Niles. And I think kind of at this point, he kind of backs off a little bit. But yeah, so Niles has paid back all of the money back to Mr. Ark, so that debt is fully paid. Um, and we're gonna take a break. Like I think we talked about everything we could talk about with Matilda and Niles. We're gonna take a break, and that's what we're doing now. So, um, Tiger Lily to the camera says, ready guys, I don't need to defend my husband. No, because Niles is a sugar daddy. And that's what my husband was saying. I think he's right. And I don't think that he said anything wrong. He's like a chihuahua, okay? And he tries to have this Rottweiler persona, but it doesn't work. And then she says to Adnan, Matilda just wants his money, and his little job there isn't gonna do it for her. She needs something with more of an income. I just mean it's not fine for her. What are you talking about? Where did y'all get that Matilda is a sugar baby and he needs to have all of this money? Where did you get that? Because I missed that. Because I don't know where you got that. She says nothing, and clearly she's also not retaining anything. So anyways, then Vanya does the girlfriend test with Lauren, and he says some of the questions, they're very philosophical and whatever. And one of the questions that is asked here is if you've ever drowned. Well, if I did, I wouldn't be here. He's like, well, no, see, that's not true because I've actually drowned 8 times and I'm still here. Wait, what? So wait. You drowned 8 times and you've lived to tell the tale. Listen, that's not drowning. That's just not being able to get back to the surface. Here's the thing. I've been in a situation. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast. I feel like I did. But just trigger warning for if anyone's dealt with something like this before, dealing with bodies of water. And yeah. My grandparents' friends owned a cottage, went to as a kid. And one of the times that we went, I was maybe 7, 8, and they had, off of the water. And I'm in the water with this floaty crocodile thing. And for whatever reason, I was kind of close to the dock, and close to the dock, there was these rocks that were flushed with the land. So I hit my knee on the rock, flipped over because the crocodile had no air in it, and I couldn't get back up. I think I might actually hit my leg on the rock while underwater. I can't quite remember. It's very blurry. But I couldn't get back up. Now, luckily, there was, adults there. And someone did come and save me. But I wouldn't consider it drowning. Now, was I panicking? Did I think I'm dying? This is it, I'm dying. Yes, I did. It was actually a very terrifying and scary moment. But I wouldn't consider that drowning because I feel like drowning is well, the actual act of dying underwater. So how does one drown 8 times and then still live to tell the tale? I have questions that he is not going to be able to answer. Anyway, so that's what he says. Niles basically says, were you ever dropped on your head? Is actually, yes. My aunt actually dropped me on my head at an escalator when I was less than a year old. That says everything. Anyways, we go back on stage, and guess what? Bozo's back from his little meeting with vampires at 10 o'clock at night. And he's like, Julia Roberts would be so proud, the runaway pride, or whatever the fuck he said, runaway brozo. And I'm just like, what is with these movies that he keeps referencing? I mean, yes, great movie, love Julia Roberts, but like, what is going on? Because he's not okay. Anyway, let's move on to Joe and Magda. So they're still together. She did go to the States and meet his family and his friends. And we do see some pictures. She says she didn't meet all of his friends, at least she thinks she does. She did. And she says they really like me. I really like them, especially Stephanie and Rob. They apparently talk all the time. And Sean asks, like, so are you guys engaged? And the answer is no, they are not engaged. And Sean asks, like, why not? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé, where people get engaged. And Joey says, like, I wanted her to not expect it. You know, she kept asking, when am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? It would be constant, at least once a week. And he said, like, it just felt like it would have been like a business transaction instead of actually an emotional thing. So for that reason, he wanted to wait. And I think that makes sense. Because again, like, if you are going to constantly ask someone, when are you going to propose? When are you going to propose? Like, is this going to make the person not want to propose? But he does say, I have no doubts. I'm just kind of waiting for the right time. But Brian does ask, like, okay, but like, how long is she willing to wait? Which is a good question. And she says, like, I don't know. Well, anyway, this is when someone asks, like, how many times did she ask? And then Magda, you got a ring and you put it on your ring finger. Explain that. So she explains that a friend of hers actually bought her this ring that she just decided to put on her ring finger in order for men to know she's in a relationship so that they wouldn't bother her, which I can maybe understand, but it's still kind of crazy. She apparently, because everyone's like, well, that's kind of crazy. Like, why don't you have talked to him about that before doing it and whatever? And she says, well, wait, I did talk to him about that. Like, I told him I was going to do it. And like, oh, oh. But he says, I don't remember that. I'm going to say there's a possibility that it did happen, but he didn't remember it happened. But maybe there's also a possibility she didn't tell him because maybe she knew how crazy it would have sounded. I don't know. So Sean then asks the question to everybody, does anyone think that she's pushing this relationship? And Brian's like, well, the engagement, maybe, you know, which I hate to say, I agree with him. I agree with him fully that, yeah, she's pushing the engagement aspect of this. And I disagree with Vanya because Vanya is like, well, she loves him and she wants to be here and she's just kind of making it known and whatever. And it's like, okay, she's 23 years old. What the fuck's the rush? Yes, she might love him and everything like that. So does many other people in the same situation. Still doesn't mean that you need to constantly ask the man, when are you proposing to me? It comes across as desperate. And I mean, I love Vanya. I think she's great, but just seeing Han, kind of how her story kind of went, I think that's why she can closely understand her. And again, they're both European. So, I mean, maybe that's part of it, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't agree with Vanya, like, at all. Anyway, so then we start talking about him forgetting his passport. And we're going to go back to get the passport. Turns out, y'all, that actually wasn't the real reason. Or he ends up fessing up about the actual reason for having to go back. This idiot. So we got a never before seen clip where he says, I actually didn't forget my passport. So then why the fuck did we go back and then have to rush to make sure you got your fucking flight? Turns out he went back because he forgot shooters that he left in the fridge. He says like $12 for alcohol on the plane, so he didn't want to pay $12 for alcohol. Wait, what? That's insane. And Vanya says, like, that's insane. And he says, well, why? What? You can't be serious. Sir, you really truly can't be serious. There's a reason why you said I forgot my passport versus saying I forgot alcohol in the fridge. Because you knew if you said you forgot the alcohol in the fridge, you're not going to go back for it. Because that's ridiculously stupid. Instead, you know they would go back for your passport because obviously you need that to travel. So it's just like, what? And it's like Vanya has to spell it out for him and say, like, what would you have done if you missed your flight? How would you have explained that to Magda if you missed the flight because of you forgot alcohol? But she also says nothing much about it because at the end of the day, he did make the flight. But it's just like, this is ridiculous. Anyway, they would talk about pooping in front of each other, which I don't even know why this became a fucking thing. But Tiger Lily, when they're gonna go to her and ask her, well, do you believe in an open door policy? She says, well, I mean, I'm like kind of the notion of women don't do number two. Okay. Anyway, we're taking a break now from them. We're going to come back to them later. We're going on an official break at this point. So yeah, Vanya and Tiger Lily are talking about Jordan. You know, what was that like? And what is it like having a controlling husband again after your last controlling husband? And then Adnan kind of comes over and he's like, what are you guys talking about? And he's like, Vanya, let me get you a husband. I got many brothers. And she says, like, I couldn't cover up like how Tiger Lily does. Like, I like to be free. I like to show off my boobies. I like to show off my legs. Like, I'm happy. And he's like, yeah, that sparkly thing. Like, look at me. Look at me. But Tiger Lily does kind of handle this a little better. She says, whatever makes you happy, though, right? Exactly. So at this point, she says to him, I gotta go upstairs for whatever reason. He's like, okay. And Vanya's like, well, I mean, Alan, you could stay here, talk to me. And he's like, no, like, why do I need to do that? But Tiger Lily does say he actually can't stay here and talk to you because our rules are he can't talk to the opposite sex alone. And Vanya kind of makes it about, I don't like when men control me, men don't control me. But they're kind of doing it to each other. They seem perfectly content with their lives, as is beating this dead horse of he's controlling, no man should control me, and all of this. Yes, that maybe works for the average, works for me too, but they're happy. So it is what it is. Anyway, it becomes a whole thing because when we go back just on stage, Sean asks, so I heard something happen between you and Adnan Vanya. I was like, what happened there? And she says, like, I just felt like he just couldn't talk to me, or like he didn't want to talk to me. Like because I'm a woman, he doesn't want to talk to me. Me and my small mind. But Tiger Lily explains again. She says, no, it's like actually not about like what you're wearing or like how you are or anything like that. It's because like in order for him to respect our marriage, he's not allowed to talk to anyone of the opposite sex. Just like I'm not allowed to talk to anyone of the opposite sex. And I'm just like, again, why would it beat this dead horse? We know this already. Leave it alone. Anyway. Hi, everyone. So I have a song for you. This song is by Sky Canyon, and the song is called Subtle Approach. I did get this song from the PodSafe Music Directory on the World Podcast Network. So I'm going to play that song for you now. If you like the song, I will have a link down in the show notes to everywhere where you can listen to the song and download the song, including the link to the song on the World Podcast Network. And I'm going to play that song for you now. moving on from that, we start talking about Veah and Sunny. So she says, I came back to America, or when I did, we were struggling a little bit, having to do with his dad, and they actually broke up. So they're not together, question mark. Then he said they talked a little bit here and there, and then he found out that she actually was seeing someone. And she's like, well, yes, I did do that, but like, let me clarify. I did go out on a date with a guy just once. No kissing, no nothing happened. We kind of went to Disney and that was that. I never lied about it. I did tell him that I was going on this date with somebody. But then he went on to my Snapchat, saw the photos from the date, went off, which is in true Sunny fashion. I believe her. And that's when, shit hit the fan. And he says, like, I'm a jealous guy, blah, 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 and whatever. He said it did make me upset. And I mean, yeah. So Sean basically asks, like, who is the guy? Like, who is this guy you're on a date with? And Vea's like, yeah, see, that's the thing that makes him so upset. And I swear to God, I'm like, oh my God, she went on a date with Rory. She went on a date with Rory. No. She actually went on a date with the guy who babysat her dog, who we saw for 2 seconds in the beginning of the season. What the fuck? Wow. Okay. She does say, this was a while ago though. We talked it all out. We're back together. Everything's fine. She said they had only been broken up for about a month. During that month, I mean, my girl moved quick. She went on this date with dog walker. So, or dog babies, whatever. So Adnan is like, so, like, what's wrong with you, Sunny? What's wrong with you? Be controlling. Be like Adnan, be controlling. Say that again. I thought you weren't controlling Adnan. Like, I'm confused. Now be controlling like Adnan. You just said the quiet part out loud. What? He just like threw it out there. I'm just like, did he hear himself when those words were coming out of his mouth? Or did he just word vomit everywhere? It was amazing. Anyways, Sunny, when I thought this was really great of him to say, he says, like, if I wanted to ruin my relationship, then sure that I would do what you do. But I don't want to do that. So Sean, then we didn't have this conversation about whether or not women and men can be friends. Was Harry right the whole time that women can't be friends? We're all over the place with our answers. I don't really care. But she says, she has a clarifier that said, I did not cheat on him. I did not do that. Like, that did not happen. But anyways, next steps. Sunny, apparently his visa in South Africa is going to be expiring soon. So he's going to be going back to Bangladesh in about a month or two to await the visa to the States. And she's apparently going to go out there to visit him as well. So that's the plan. Then Adnan raises his hand. And we're like, yes, Adnan, like he's in school or something. And he's like, I have a question. Hey, Sunny, I see you're doing the horizontal dance before marriage, which you're not supposed to do, as we know. But, like, if you don't want to be, or sorry, Veah says, but if you don't want to be like a strict Muslim, then you don't need to be a strict Muslim. And Adnan all of a sudden just says, what the fuck is that coming out of your mouth? Whoa. He just goes off on her. You're like, this is the worst thing in Allah. Well, again, it's not just in the Muslim faith. No faith allows us to have premarital sex yet. Here we go. And he's going to get very judgmental here, and I'm going to have my thoughts, of course. But Yeah, so he said this was the worst thing in Allah. You don't do this. It's very easy. You just don't have sex. You just don't do it. There is no chance in hell that this man was a virgin when he met her. I'm sorry. There's just no way. There's just no way. Pot meat kettle. But anyways, um, so he said, this is easy. It's fine. And he says, it kind of gets brushed on the brush very quickly, but it does get brought back up. He just say, if you're atheist, say you're atheist. But he was directing that at Veah, but it wasn't caught. But then he says, listen, I do religion for myself, as we all should. We should all do religion for ourselves. It's not necessarily about picking and choosing. It's just I do it and fulfill myself. And Adnan said, how do you change our religion? And he's like, let me finish speaking and stop fucking interrupting me. But he says, I don't do religion for other people. I do it for me. And I was like, that's not a religion. That's not religion. But it is religion. Again, we have them all in all lives of Adnan. If he was a Christian, he would be like those Christian people who, he'd be like, what's his face from that religion show that we talked about before. I can't remember what it's called. With the guy who spoke in tongue. Yeah. So I'm gonna anoint you. I'm gonna anoint you. That guy. So Fatima, that would be he be him. So it's just like, stop being judgmental though. You do your religion for you the way you see fit, and Sunny can do the way he sees fit. And he is going to say later on that, doing anything outside of that's haram, you don't do. You're not Muslim then. But I'm going to say this again. I have had relations with Islamic men before in my past. Trust me, we're following it. Okay? If you catch my drift. But that doesn't mean that person's any less Muslim because of it. We've had people on this show too who weren't strict with it. Okay? Like we had Muhammad, the first Muhammad. We had, she wasn't even coming to me right now. Syed. We had him too. He was having premarital sex before, We've had many people on the show of the Islamic faith just, okay. And again, it doesn't make you any better because you waited till marriage. You married a woman that you only knew for 4 months over the computer, okay, in order to not break your vow to God to not have sex before marriage. And you fulfilled that. So you're not going to get some kind of prize because you waited until marriage. You married a woman after knowing her for 4 or 5, I don't even know how long, very small amount of time. Married her for the mere reason because you wanted to have sex with her or just sex in general. So you don't get a prize any more than anyone else does. The difference is at least they're being real about it. I have sex, yes, without, premarital sex. Yes, I do. And I know I do. And I deal with that with my God. I deal with it. And I'm perfectly fine with where I am at in my life and where I'll be at in my afterlife. At least I can own it. You, sir, need to own the fact that you married Tiger Lily for the mere reason so you could fuck. Stop acting like you are holier than thou, because you're not. I don't like it. Anyway, so yeah, he just kind of go into that. He's like, I didn't touch Tiger Lily until marriage. And yeah, he says, I'm Muslim if you break this. And he also then kind of goes into it and says, you can't get married when she believes in nothing. But they're not quite understanding because I think he thinks she's atheist. But someone says, okay, but what about Tiger Lily? Like, she doesn't believe in Islam. And he's like, but she's a Christian. She believes in Jesus. Okay, yes, that is very true. We know this. And we know it's fine for people, as long as you're not atheist, you're usually pretty good to marry an Islamic man without converting. And I think Tiger Lily kind of catches on here and realizes, oh, wait, she's actually not an atheist. She is a Christian. And she says, oh, well, we actually thought that she was atheist. And then Veah's like, no, 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 bitch. No, 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 bitch. You're not gonna go out here and tell me that I don't fucking believe in Jesus. Don't tell me that I don't fucking believe in Jesus. Listen, didn't realize fucking and Jesus was going to be in the same sentence. Actually, like right after each other. Shit. That's like going into the church and starts right. It's sacrilegious. Anyways, no, bitch. And then he's like, so then they got, why do sex? Because again, I think he gets that in Christianity, you're also supposed to have premarital sex. Whatever. Start those fires. I'll burn. It's fine. It was worth it. But anyway, yes, he says like that. And he's like, I don't need anyone to understand, or she says, I don't need anyone to understand my relationship. We all do our own thing and we respect that. And then someone says, or I think it was Vanya says, do you want Veah to be Muslim? I think Ashley's always Tiger Lily. She asks this question. And he says, yes, in the future, but right now, no. Like, I'm not going to force that on her. She doesn't want to do it. And I want to teach her. I want her to understand the religion. And maybe one day she can convert. And Veah's like, what? She's like, I don't want to convert. I have no intentions of converting. And he's like, but you have no idea about my religion. Doesn't matter. She doesn't need to understand about the religion. She's made a choice. She does not want to convert. And you need to respect it. And First Adnan, I think it was First Adnan says, like, does she understand that your kids need to be Muslim? And she speaks for herself and says, the only thing I hope for my children is that they have religion in their life, whatever that religion is. I don't think she cares. But then Vanya comes in and she says to Sunny, like, would you convert for her if she wanted you to? And he says, no, because I'm happy with my religion. And she says, well, then why isn't it okay for her to be happy with hers? Like, why does she need to convert for you? And he simply says with his whole fucking chest, because I'm a man here. What? And Anna actually is laughing, and I think he's laughing because he kind of like, there he is trying to be controlling, and he's not taking it seriously. I don't think he's laughing because of what he said, because I think he agrees. But that's not a reason. Because you have a dick and balls does not mean you are in charge of what the religion is going to be for everyone in the relationship. This is not how this works. So Tiger Lily, I think the one thing finally she says here that's constructive, says she should not be converting for Sunny. She has to do it for him or for her. And she says that, you know, you gotta be making sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. And she says, like, Anna never forced me into converting or forced Islam on me. Any decision she makes it be for herself, not for him. So then we start talking about his father. Does he talk to his father at all? He says that they do speak if it's about business, but they do not have like a deep relationship. And he does say it's not like customary in Islam for a parent to disown their child, but in time, I think he's saying like he'll come around. Which always says, You gotta try to just Veah. You gotta try to respect his father. He's Muslim. He's also of an older generation. So if you gotta cover up your fucking tattoos, and cover up your tattoos. And she does say that I wish I did, cover them, fully and whatnot. But right now, Sunny says, um, love does make you blind. He's answered the old age question of, is love blind? And he said it is. Anand then says, your father, I feel bad for him because he's actually doing the religion right and you're doing it wrong. All your relationship was going to be is about cheating and all of this. And she's like, wait a minute. Did you just say cheating? Who's cheating on who? I didn't cheat on Sunny. We were broken up. We were on a break. Well, I don't understand. And Tiger Lily says, honey, okay, listen to my words. They were like on a break, and that's when she went on the date with babysitter man. So like she actually didn't cheat on him. And he says, I don't trust her. Anyways, we move on from that and we start talking about Brian and Ingrid. And the question basically comes up, Brian, do you still, believe that she didn't really try? And he says, well, she did, but like, I don't think she was ready for everything. Everything meaning his wheelchair. And he said that she would freak out about things. Like, for example, if he had to like jump off of a curb, he would do that. And she was like, oh my God. Because yes, you're right, she's not used to it, but that comes with time. Judging her because she's freaking out about you being safe is actually really petty. And she says as much. She's like, I'm a mom. I wanted him to be safe. That's it. And he's like, yeah, I get that, but I've been spending 25 years in this chair. Doesn't mean you can't have compassion. I also understand from his perspective of, I'm just as able-bodied, I'm just in a chair. That's it. I do understand that part of it too, but just, there should be grace on both ends. That's it. Anyway. Then we start talking about the awkwardness of the almost sex moment. And he says, pretty much everyone, or sorry, I'm saying pretty much everyone agrees that to move from nothing straight into oral sex is very intimate, and it is more intimate than just having straight up intercourse, especially after doing nothing. And Adnan, of course, being Adnan, shames Ingrid. And trust me, his wife is going to join along. He's like, why would you do that? And, she's like, you were wearing lingerie. And, or Tiger Lily says you were wearing lingerie. It's kind of teasing. So, like, there's nothing wrong with teasing. I think we can all do this because I'm showing myself off to you and opening myself up to the possibility of intimacy doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Like, it's just, they tried a thing and it didn't work. And I don't think that's crazy. And to judge her for it is fucking ridiculous. But basically everyone else agrees here that just because she was wearing lingerie does not mean that he was entitled to have sex with her. And Tiger Lily, again, is just, she's going harder on her than on Nan could ever. And she's like her cookie was falling out. Like, the fuck? So, like, again, so why are we shaming her for that though? And Brian says, he's like on the way that particular night, she apparently had asked him to stop at a pharmacy that was clearly closed in order to buy condoms. Like, why would she say that if she didn't want to have sex with me? Well, maybe she's anticipating maybe tonight's the night. But that does not mean that something can't happen along the way. that is going to give her hesitation. Listen, we've all been in situations. Hell, I've been in a situation where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have sex with this guy. And then in the moment, I'm like, I don't want to. The problem is I give Ingrid props to put her foot down and say, I'm not doing this. Or unfortunately, in my situation, of course, me also being really young, was kind of, you feel obligated to do the thing, to do the deed so that you're not putting yourself in an awkward situation or anything like that. So I think we as women could give props to someone who is able to take that power back and not feel threatened while doing it. Instead, we're shaming her for it. It's ridiculous. And anyways, Vanya is kind of like, but did she really though? Did she really? Did she really tell you to buy condoms? And Ingrid does say, like, the conversation did happen, but whether or not it was that night or a different night, she can't remember. I'm gonna say it was probably that night. That's a part of, like, not that it matters though, but I think it was that night. But I think she feels like she has to say, I don't recall, to save face because we have these friggin' fools shaming her for her decisions. Like, it's just, yeah. Anyways, Vanya says, either way you put this though, that doesn't give you the right Brian to mistreat women. He's like, I know. Do you though? Because he's just gonna go back into it. Trust me. But someone does say to him, like, it does come across as if you're being kind of eager to have this intimacy with her. And yeah. And of course, like how we see him handle himself with the catheter, it is very eager beaver of him. And he says, after all of that kind of happened that night where she says, like, no, I'm not doing this, she apparently goes to him and says, I have a boyfriend. And we're like, wait, what? And Vanya says, okay, well then why would she do all of this with you? She has a boyfriend. Now, Ingrid does say, I told him that I was talking to somebody, but I wasn't in a relationship with somebody. She needs to kind of point that out, like, that did not happen. And Sean then asks, like, did you actually have feelings for Brian? She says, I did. And, there was no other boyfriend or whatever. And she's like, I work in healthcare. And I know that you can get an STD from oral sex. Then we have this idiot Lauren in the background being like, gonorrhea. Okay. Glad this is a fucking celebration. Anyway, then we bring up Brianna, Brian's daughter, and she feels that this was kind of this extreme blind date between these two. There was no love between them. That's probably true. And Niles asks her, how old are you, Brianna? She says she's 32. Ingrid is 1 year older. And Niles is like, yeah, that would bother me. It would bother me too. It would bother me too. But they're used to this because this is what he's been doing. And Vanya says, like, why not date someone who is maybe a little older, who is on your level? And he says, yeah, well, those, the ones who are on my age didn't work with them either. Yeah, but maybe have a better chance of working with them because at least they have, I'm not saying they won't have the maturity level depending on the age, but it's just, then we talk about the things that she'd found out. The drugs, that he was married 4 times with 3 engagements, the catheter and the condom duo. And Niles says, so, like, I have so many questions. And it is asked of Brianna, like, do you think that he should be testing women with the catheter and the condom? And she's like, no, it's cringy. Thank God. And she's like, he says, I don't have the time. I need to figure this out now. Why? Why do you need to figure it out now? What is the rush for you? And he's like, I thought it was the right thing to do. And Niles asks Ingrid, asks Brian, so the whole situation with the drugs and everything, is she supposed to be happy about your criminal past or like what? And he's like, no, I'm not saying she should be happy about it because he, obviously wanted a different response. And then Brianna says, I don't understand how she didn't know how old he was because he didn't tell her the truth. That's how. Because he's lying on his dating profile. That's why. And she's like, well, what do you guys talk about for these 2 years? If it's about sex, don't tell me. And Ingrid says, like, all of these women, though, for him, and none of them stuck. Like, what? And Brianna says, because he's 52. What? So you're basically trying to equate the fact that he has all these failed relationships because of his age. So, duh, three. Of course he's going to have failed relationships. No, that's not what she's trying to get at. It doesn't matter how old he is, whether he was 32, 52, 72. The fact that you have multiple amount of failed marriages and failed engagements, that says more about you than it does about them. And using his age for the reason why is actually really stupid. But Brian is like, wait a minute. So we're all gonna come at me with all of these different questions. But, and talking about my love life here. But isn't it her that has 2 kids with 2 baby daddies? The fuck you say? So now we're gonna shame this woman for having 2 kids with 2 different men. And we're gonna do that now. Okay. This guy is garbage. Take the fucking heat as far as I'm concerned. And Sean says, like, do you want to respond to that, Ingrid? She's like, no, I'm not gonna fire at him the way he's firing at me. He's not gonna do any good. I'm not playing his games. Brianna thinks that he shouldn't be in a relationship too late because he isn't one. Take a break, she says. Just run away with us for the summer. Let's go upstate. I'm sorry, I have to. Take a break. Okay. She's like, you have more time than you think. And he's like, yeah, I'm probably not taking that advice. Because again, he's in a relationship. But we are going to take a break now, while they have lunch. And then we're going to be meeting his new girlfriend later on. So, yep, it's lunchtime. And, we kind of broken off into groups here. And Niles says, Adnan triggered him with the whole, she's a sugar daddy or sugar baby situation. Ivania says, like, I don't like, though, that you kind of rushed into marriage. Like, you're part of the rushing into marriage group. And you guys didn't really talk about things, which, that I get. And Adnan, meanwhile, he's with the other group. And he basically says, you can't sit with us. He literally mean girls her in this moment and says, take your food and fuck off. You can't sit with us. Like, that's literally what he does. And he says the reason that he says that she can't sit with us is because he thinks that the other group is going to be coming eventually, and he doesn't want bullshit in her ear, I guess, because she doesn't have a brain. And Laura's like, I'm not saying anything. So yeah, she doesn't sit with us. And we kind of talk about, like, he doesn't respect my marriage and this and that. Just reiterating the same nonsense we've already been talking about. And Niles, when Brian leaves, says, he's a creep. Then Adnan is coming to start some drama because he's like, it's not nice to meet you. No, it's not nice to meet you. And Niles is like, Adnan? He's like, yes. He's like, well, you did? That wasn't cool. Why? Why wasn't it cool? He's like, you did that in front of my father. Disrespect. You know what happens to people in the South when people do shit like that? raising up the glasses, is ready to fight, and I'm over here being like, fight, fight, fight. There's not going to be a fight, but that's literally what I'm doing. And I'm just like, people do to people like that down in the South, you know what's going to happen? They're going to fuck you up. That's what's going to happen. And raise up these glasses and protect my glasses. I'm going to fuck up your face. That's like literally was the look on his face was, I'm going to fuck you up. But that is the end of this episode. That is the end of part 2. We're gonna, again, B90 universe, we're gonna be doing 2 episodes and 1 episode for Last Resort, and then we will jump into the 3rd episode of the tell-all, which is gonna be short. It was only an hour. I don't understand why they did that, but anyways, it's fine. So that's what we'll be doing next for the B90, or for the 90 universe. Once we are caught up with B90, which I'm not sure we're going to catch up before the tell-all happens, the final part of the tell-all happens, but once we do, we will jump in with Bachelor, so we can get through that. And then after Bachelor, most likely going to be jumping in with Young, Famous, and African. We're going to jump into that. And kind of go back and forth with that and Last Resort. So until we finish Last Resort. But anyways, that is that. Again, at the end of the episode, before we close out, Patreon is coming very soon. It's actually going to be launched officially on Saturday, and with the first episode coming out on Thursday. So yeah, go over there, join the fun. I'm excited for it, and yeah, that is basically that. The link for the Patreon will be in the show notes, of course. But yeah, that's basically it. That is it for me with this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including, you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.